Hello, Math Minds! Today we're going to be solving the problem on page 289. This is a really tricky problem, so I hope you have your math journal out, ready to follow along with me as we solve. So obviously the first thing to do anytime you have a number story is really read the question. Mrs. Wyman wants to install a metal fence around her rectangular backyard. The perimeter of this rectangular area she wants to enclose is 170 2/4 feet. 4 panels of fencing, each one 7 3/4 feet wide and 2 2/3 feet high, were needed to complete a side. What are the dimensions of the sides of a rectangular area Miss Wyman wants to put a fence around? So we're going to be drawing a little picture along with doing our math, because I think drawing a picture, especially when working with area and perimeter, is really helpful. So we'll draw our rectangle over here on the side. This is Miss Wyman's rectangular backyard. So when we're trying to find out the perimeter, we're going to need how many feet wide the fencing is, but we don't need anything about the height. That's not necessary information. So, width. So, if Miss Wyman needed 4 panels to complete a side, how could we figure this out? Well, 7 3/4 is what 1 panel's width is. In order to find out 4, we're going to multiply 7 3/4 by 4. I'm not going to fully write that out, but the answer is 31. So that answers our width problem right away. Miss Wyman's rectangular backyard is 31 feet in width. So we can go ahead and label our rectangle as well. 31 feet. 31 feet. And really, I kind of drew my rectangle the wrong way, but that's okay. All right, so 31 feet. Now, it's a little bit trickier to find out the length of her backyard. So we're going to have to do a couple of things. I'm thinking, and I want you to think really quickly. How can we figure out the length? Well, we know the total area. So the total area is 170 feet, 170 2/4 feet. And we know what part of the perimeter is. So if we add up what we know, we're going to get 62. I did 31 plus 31. I added up these two widths that we already knew. If I subtract 170 2/4, subtract 62, then I get 108 2/4. That doesn't quite answer our question, though. So if we have 108 2/4, that tells us what the total amount of both of the lengths are. We're going to have to figure out how to split that in half. Now, you could do that the best way you feel possible, and I feel like probably the best way is to guess and check. What do you think about half of 108 2/4 would be? For the sake of time, I'm just going to tell you the answer, in that half of 108 2/4 would be 54 1/4. Notice I took half of 108 and half of the fraction. So our total length would be 54 1/4. I can go ahead and label my rectangle. Sorry, gosh, my pen does just not catch very easily on the screen. So 1/4. And that should be labeled with feet. Just because my pen is having a hard time, I'm not going to, but it should be labeled there. So that answers the first 2 questions. Now the next question is, how many more fencing panels does she need to finish the remaining 3 sides. So 4 panels were needed to cover 31 feet. Okay, because remember, she already covered 1. So at least 4 panels are going to be needed to cover 54 and 1/4. Well, let's subtract here. 54 and 1/4, subtract 31, which I'm getting that from my length and my width, is 23 and 1/4. So after 4 panels are used, 23 and 1/4 fence will be unfenced. So each panel covers 7 3/4 feet. And I got that directly from the problem up here. Okay. So, if I just guess and check around, which depending on how good at your facts you are, the faster you're going to do them. So 7 3/4, I just know 7 3/4 times 3 is going to get me 23 and 1/4. You could solve this by guessing and checking, doing 7 3/4 times 2, seeing what it gets you, 7 3/4 times 3, and then you would obviously find the answer. So, a total of 7 panels will be needed to cover up the 54 and 1/4. Okay. So, if we have 7 panels for there, 7 panels for this one, and 4 panels for this one because it told us it took up 4. We've already covered this side. We don't need it. We need to add up 7 plus 4. Come on. Is going to equal 18. So the amount of remaining panels that we need are 18. Now, the next couple of problems on the next page are not going to be that difficult. That was definitely a multi-step number story using fractions and measurement. That's why we did this one together. I am fully confident that you guys will be able to solve the perimeter questions on the next page. You got this, and good luck.